All right, so look it. I'm in the Facebook groups with all of you all. I love my Facebook groups and being able to interact with everyone. There's, by the way, one directly for the Weekend Cruiser official group down below if you want to join us in those conversations. But more importantly, I see you all asking rando strangers on the Facebooks and the internets and the interwebs on questions that you should not be trusting the internet for. You should be going to the cruise line and to a reputable source to determine these answers. Now, there's a lot that you can learn from the different groups that are out there and the communities that talk about cruising. There's a lot of us experienced folks that are out there, but I see a lot of times that you're asking questions that you just should not be asking. So let's talk about those today. Hey everybody, it's Brandon, the Weekend Cruiser, where I go on a weekend cruise just about every weekend, and I am constantly seeing offenders of people trusting the intrawebs with information they should never trust it with. The first one that they're going to go to the intrawebs with is, what time can I board the ship and what time is all aboard? And these are two things that, honestly, people may think that they know, but they don't. Things change, things come up. You may get emails saying, oh, you need to board an hour later. There may be a Coast Guard inspection. Different cruise lines, different ships board and debark at different times, depending sometimes on the sailing and what's going on or what has gone on. So check with the cruise line to make sure you know when you can get to the ship and when you'll probably be able to get off the ship. When you are in port somewhere, make sure that you are paying attention to the captain's announcement on when all aboard for the ship is, and that you're then paying attention to what the ship time is going to be. If you go over to Mexico, I think it's a 50-50 shot whether the ship changes the time or not. The ship may go there and stay on East Coast time the entire time. And so you're going to need to make sure that you know what these are. And even when you're leaving the gangway, they always will have a sign that says, when is all aboard? I pull out my phone, I take a picture of it so that I don't forget or have a lapse in judgment. I have literally seen people asking folks in the cruise port what time their all aboard was. And a lot of the locals even know when all aboard is, or they think they know. But don't trust anyone else when all aboard is. You want to make sure that you make it to the cruise and you go to official and proper channels to get that information. The next one here is not as big of a deal, but people always want to know what they can bring and cannot bring. Number one, if you have to ask, probably shouldn't be bringing it. But this also varies by cruise line, and people, the biggest answer that I get here, which annoys me, is, oh, I brought it on my cruise and nothing happened. If you are bringing something that is a prohibited item onto a cruise ship, and you've heard a lot of people say, oh, wasn't found in my bag, it does not mean that it's going to be found in yours. If it is prohibited, you probably shouldn't bring it, or you are taking the risk of, number one, your item being confiscated, and you're going to get your bag closer to like 8-10 p.m. at night if it goes to the naughty room, and they'll take out of your bag what that confiscated item is, and you'll be able to pick it up once you get off the ship. And I don't know that I would necessarily even trust that process. You may never get it back. Luckily, never gone through that process, but just make sure that you are verifying with the cruise line, going to the website. They're very crystal clear on what you can and cannot bring, but don't trust the intrawebs with, oh, well, nothing happened to me when I did it. This is another big one here for me is, does your cell phone work at sea? What's your international plan on your cell phone? Now, cell phone packages, plans, providers come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. I personally use Google Fi, which most people haven't heard of, but if you haven't heard of it, I'm going to link down to the bottom because it's got a fantastic international plan that I use just about every weekend in the Bahamas, and it works flawlessly. But if you are traveling to a foreign country, you need to know beyond a shadow of a doubt what your cell phone plan is. If you do not, and you use your phone while you're in these international ports, you will easily have a $500 bill. That is why I left T-Mobile, because I kept getting random $500 cell phone bills. I got 2 of those in 1 year and said, I'm out. I'm switching over to Google Fi because I'm not going to get that big of a bill there if I do something incorrect. So make sure that if you are at one of the big box shops such as T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T, you are going to the store and saying, hey, associate, I'm going on a cruise. What do I need to know? What are my options? How do I do this? So that you don't wind up with those surprise bills. And this next one for me is honestly just a pet peeve. And I answer this question on the channel, but you'll notice I answer it a little bit different. But people want to know, is name that thing worth it? Is the Wi-Fi worth it? Is the drink package worth it? Is the cabana worth it? Should I do the ocean club at Coco Cay, the beach club? Is it worth it? And worth is something that is extremely subjective, especially on Facebook. Some people love to spend money and they will say, absolutely, it's a better experience. You should pay $10,000 to do it. And then other people will be like, that's a great experience, but I'm not paying 5 cents to do it. Worth is something you have to determine on your own. So it's not that your question, I guess, is bad when you go into various communities and groups asking, is something worth it? But it's just, I think the wording of it to me should be, what is this experience and how much does it cost? And if somebody tells you what the experience is, how much it costs, you can then go, is that worth it for me? So you'll see that when I answer, is the key worth it question, I give you what is the experience, what are you getting, how much is it going to cost, and here's some things to consider. And then you, as the end user, get to figure out, is it worth it? But the intrawebs cannot answer the question of, is something worth it for you? And this one is probably the absolutely worst, and it is our last one we'll talk about today. But the worst thing you can ask the intrawebs is, what documents do I need to get onto the ship? I even saw one earlier today that was saying they're from a foreign country leaving out of Miami. What documents do they need? And they want Facebook to tell them what documents will allow them to fly over to the US to then be able to board the cruise ship that goes to foreign ports. I don't trust the intrawebs with your ability to board a cruise ship. Again, you want to make sure that depending on where your ship is sailing from, how long it's going to be, that you have all the right and proper documents in order to board that cruise ship. If you show up at the port and you're stopped by a customs officer and says, hey, I need to see this, and you don't have it because a rando person on a community or a Facebook group said you didn't need it, you're going to be in trouble. Make sure you are getting the right information, going to a great source to get your travel document information. Please do not trust strangers with your ability to board or disembark a cruise ship. If anything, use a travel agent. They are a trusted source for what documents you need. They're going to check everything and make sure everything is in good and standing order. So check out this next video on why I use a travel agent, and part of it is because they keep me honest with making sure my travel documents are all in order regardless of what ship I'm getting on and what country I'm getting on. All right, everybody, this is Brandon, the Weekend Cruiser. Hoping to see you on a Weekend Cruise soon.